Hey folks, today I've got a real treat for you. We're going to make tourtiere. And you might be saying, what is tourtiere? Tourtiere is really just a ground pork meat pie that was really made famous in Quebec, Canada. It's really simple ingredients put together in a really easy way that makes a fabulous dish. So let's begin. Here are the ingredients you're going to need today for this tourtiere that we're going to be making. One is a pastry shell, a pie pastry shell, and you can find that right here in one of my previous videos. You're also going to need ground pork. That's one of those things you see sometimes on sale in the supermarket. You go, gee, I wish I'd like to buy it, but I really don't know what to do with it. Now you know what to do with it. So ground pork. You need some potatoes, either mashed from a previous day, or I boiled some up, they're all ready for mashing. Some chopped up onions, some minced celery. You want it chopped up really fine, so you want to mince it. You need some garlic cloves, and you need a bunch of spices, water, and a little bit of white wine. The key spice in this recipe from Quebec is savoury. You definitely need the savoury. I'll talk about these spices individually when we put them in. So let's start. Okay, I've put the pork in a really heavy bottomed pot, and I've added a little bit of sunflower oil just to make sure it doesn't stick. I'm going to render off the fat, and once the pork is no longer pink, we're going to pour out all that fat. I'm using here a lot of pork, but for one meat pie, you want about 2 pounds of pork. Of course, it depends on how thick you want the meat pie, but about 2 pounds of pork would make one nice meat pie. Okay, let's take a look at it. Yeah, it's no longer pink. All the pinkness is gone. So I'm ready now. You can see all of that fat has been rendered off, and I'm ready to drain it. So I'm just going to drain it in the sink using the top. If you need to, use a colander to make sure you don't sort of dump it all by mistake. Anyway, I'm going to drain it and we'll put it back on here in a second. So there we go. There's the pork that's been now drained of the fat. Now I'm going to put the onions in. It's about one big onion. I've got about two pies here, so I'm going to put both onions in. And they're chopped. One celery stalk per pie. So I'll put that right in too. We'll mix that in. That's going to be just fabulous. And I got that sort of on a medium heat right now. I'm also going to crush 2 cloves of garlic into this. I'm adding the garlic now. That's 1 clove. And a second clove. Actually 2 cloves for one pie. So I'm going to put 4 in, but I'll add those in a bit. Also, we want to add 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to put in the herbamare. If you've seen this, the herbamare, it's a really nice salt herb mixture. So I'm going to throw that right in. So about a teaspoonful. That should do, maybe a little bit more. That's fine. And also some pepper, about a quarter teaspoon of pepper. I'm just going to eyeball it. I like it quite peppery, so I'm going to put more, maybe about a half teaspoon of pepper. Oops. You want to throw also into that about a half teaspoon of savoury. So this is the savoury, and I'm going to put a good teaspoon in because it really gives it that nice French Canadian taste. And then you want just a little bit of allspice, just a touch of allspice. So you don't want to put too much allspice. And just a touch of ground cloves. Just a touch of that. If you put too much of the ground cloves and the allspice in, it gives it more of a curry flavor. You really don't want that. You also want a couple of bay leaves, so I'm going to throw 2 or 3 nice bay leaves in there. And also about a cup of water per pie. I've got 2 pies, so I'm putting 2 cups of water in here. I'm going to give it a stir. I'm going to cover it. I'm going to let it simmer for about 15 minutes. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes now or so. I'm just going to add a little bit of white wine. Really just a tiny bit, maybe a quarter of a cup. And you know, since I have it open and the onions are softening up nicely and the celery, everything's coming along, I'm going to throw the potatoes in. Now remember the potatoes, it's about one big potato per pie. I've got a couple of potatoes here, and they've been boiled till they're really soft, so these will mash up really easily. I'm just going to put them right in, okay? So they go right into the mixture, and you'll see how easily they mash up. I'm just going to mix them right into the mixture by just pressing them down in, and yeah, they're going to just disintegrate right in there, and they're going to help to thicken everything right up, okay? I'm going to let it go for about another 5 minutes or so. 5 to 10 minutes, and I hope that we can get rid of most of this liquid. I'm going to leave the top off now and let it just sort of thicken up and get rid of most of that liquid, and she'll be ready to go right in the pie form then, okay? So be back in about 10. I'm ready to take this off the heat now. A lot of the liquid is gone, and I got to let it cool down for about 10 minutes or so before I put it in the pie. Now you'll notice you can still see quite a few bit of the potato chunks. I'm a little bit disappointed in that. I normally use russet potatoes that disintegrate right away. Today I use the yellow flesh, the Yukon Gold, and they're being pretty stubborn. They're not really breaking down, but that's okay. They'll just be sort of small little chunks in the pie. It's no big deal. I'm going to bring fill the pie form up with the filling. Remember, the filling is fully cooked. We're ready to go with the filling. No problem. Oops, there's a bay leaf. We want to snag that out of there. We don't want the bay leaves in there. And I'm just going to fill up this form. So that is now nicely filled with the fully cooked tourtiere filling. Now all I have to do is cover it. So I'm going to cover that up with the pie crust that I have prepared. There we go. I'll throw that right over, and I'm going to just crimp it up family style. If you want to learn how to make this crust, just check out my video on making a pie crust. I have a separate video on making a pie crust, and that you can find on my YouTube channel or in the bottom bar below. Now this makes no difference at all to how it's going to taste, but I've got 1 egg with about a teaspoon or tablespoon maybe of milk, and I've beat that up, and I'm going to put that on top, and it's going to give it a lovely glossy kind of color. And when that comes out of the oven, boy, you're going to think, where did that come from? That looks amazing. And so we're going to put this in the oven. We're going to put it in the oven at 425 degrees, and we're going to cook it till she's nice and crispy and the pie crust is done, because the filling is ready to eat right now. So it should be about a half hour. So let's put it in and see how she looks. Here we go. Here's the tourtiere right out of the oven. It is delicious. But an amazing pairing with the tourtiere is something a little sweet, and that's what we have here. Maple syrup. If you're going to use maple syrup, buy real maple syrup. Canadian, be it Vermont, whatever. Away you go. Maple syrup, tourtiere, bon appetit.